and traced back to the time of the gods and to the knowledge and the wisdom of the gods, I suspect that that's what we're looking at Nazca as well. The same fingerprint of the same lost civilization and the same lost science.
So if the Nazcans couldn't fly, what is the purpose of all these creations? Eric von Daniken thinks he has found an answer. His theory is that spaceships landed, leaving marks on the desert floor when they returned into the sky. When the natives wanted them to come back generation after generation, they recreated these lines in tribal ritual, even though the initial visit may have fallen into a semi-forgotten past. There is one more clue that the ancient Nazcans may have had a close encounter with extraterrestrials. The figure of El Astronoto has watched the skies over Nazca for over 3,000 years. Could this strange-looking image be linked to a primitive but friendly society and their unearthly visitors? To von Daniken, only if extraterrestrials return to Nazca will the mystery of these lines and figures finally be solved. If some kind of flying machine or Vimana did visit the Earth in ancient times, one can imagine the terror some people may have felt in their presence. In Turkey, the eerie landscape is dotted with hundreds of small caves in the soft volcanic rock. But the real mystery of this region can't be seen above ground. Perhaps 2,500 years ago, elaborate cities were carved deep under the earth. Were these intricate maze-like settlements a primitive air raid shelter to protect the citizens from airborne enemies?
There are caves and chambers all over.
One of these cities descends 40 meters underground, through as many as 18 stories. This is just one of nearly 200 subterranean cities in the region. Perhaps 30,000 people once lived in them. A tunnel, 12 kilometers long, linked two cities together. Experts say the underground cities have been used for many different purposes over the last 2,500 years. Eric von Daniken wonders why generation after generation sought refuge beneath the earth. If fleeing an invading army or religious persecution, frightened citizens could have hid in the mountains above ground. Why did people burrow a labyrinth of subterranean chambers underground? What was the true purpose of these cities?
These people were hiding out, afraid of some enemy. But all this doesn't make sense. Any enemy could simply come in here, or they were sitting in a trap. It must have been an airborne enemy. An enemy from the sky.
From Stonehenge in England to hundreds of other sites throughout Europe, Asia and the Americas, there are ancient structures made from giant stones, called megaliths.
At least 7,000 years ago, our ancestors created thousands and thousands of stones, and they arranged them in lines, straight lines for miles and miles.
They loom like giant soldiers, marching in formation to the sea. These are the megaliths of Karnak in Brittany.
There is a great deal of controversy about the age of these menhirs in Brittany. Here, we finally have some proof. These stones go into the water and underwater. In fact, there is a whole stone circle underwater. This finally proves that the stones were here before the water was here. And that was 8 to 10,000 years ago. Now this is the largest megalith ever moved in ancient Europe. It's man-made, cut, as you can see. Once the whole piece was over 60 feet, and its weight was 350 tons.
If these giant stones were moved and arranged 7,000 years ago, they would be among the oldest creations on the planet. But were they created by human beings? At that time in human history, our ancestors were still hunters, struggling daily for survival. Their tools were primitive, and the wheel had not yet been invented. How were these thousands of stones transported, and what was their purpose?
Until today, archaeology has no answer for this mystery. Well, since we have computer technology and since we know how to fly, we might have an answer.
Eric von Daniken reveals his theory that, based on aerial reconnaissance, the builders of these alignments had a sophisticated understanding of geometry,